So you've heard about Plan B, you've heard about China, and you've heard about the presidential election as three watershed moments that afford us the opportunity to make a difference in what's happening in Darfur. And what we haven't discussed yet, Don, is the fourth one, which is that Not on Our Watch, this book that we just published, just made the New York Times bestseller list this afternoon. Does that count? We'll keep it at three. We'll just mention that once. But it's really a remarkable thing to be able to, after years and years of working on these kinds of issues, and sitting in, little basements of churches and town halls and synagogues and even in universities where 10 or 15 kids or people show up, and you kind of sit around a little circle. Come on, everybody, let's move in a circle and talk. And now, no matter who you are or where you go, when there's a meeting, a discussion on Darfur, you see what kind of result there is. People care about this issue all over this country, and we're letting our elected officials know in many different ways, shapes, and forms that there is going to be a political cost for not acting in the face of such an enormous crime against humanity as genocide. Part of the companion, I guess you would say almost the living companion of this book is this Enough campaign that's just been launched. It's only 2 months old now. And it intends to be able to provide content to all of the wonderful grassroots efforts that are going on all across the country on Darfur, and as we say, and beyond in the book title, in northern Uganda and Congo. As soon as we raise some more money, anybody got any extra cash, we'll take it. We'll take it beyond those three places as well. And we'll work assiduously to campaign and build a small but growing movement of people committed to confronting the crime of genocide and other crimes against humanity that are the scourge of our present earth. So I thought we would just say a couple minutes at the end here for the kinds of things that we in this room can do. Many of you are experienced organizers, some of you are not. But it's very important that we all join in this struggle now for the reasons that Don said, particularly the first of the three watersheds, the Plan B scenario that we have presently facing the president after 3 years of calling this a genocide. Will he finally fulfill the sacred obligations of the Genocide Convention's terms? The one operative phrase, when you turn that legal document inside out, all you can really find is one thing. It says signatory states commit themselves to do all they can to prevent, too late for that, and to punish the crime of genocide. And the time, in order to get the United Nations-led UNAU peacekeeping force out to Darfur to protect civilians, in order to get a new peace deal, this government will not allow those things to happen unless there is a cost for committing genocide. And the time has come to hit the government as hard as we can with the kind of punitive measures that we have at our disposal. They cost a grand total of $0.00 to do the kind of things Don's talking about, to impose a wide set of targeted sanctions through the United Nations Security Council against the senior officials who are responsible for the atrocities, to freeze the assets of the companies these guys have set up, not unilaterally, but multilaterally. It's harder to work for the United Nations Security Council. President Bush wants to announce a set of unilateral measures. They won't mean anything. We have to work through the UN Security Council and get other countries to work with us to freeze these assets and drive Sunni's business underground. We need to do what we're doing with respect to Iran and North Korea, and going to banks in Europe and saying, choose, either do business with this regime or do business with us. It's up to you. Those are the kind of things that demonstrate to the world that we're really committed to stopping genocide. And most importantly, perhaps, we have a treasure trove of information and classified information through our signal and human intelligence in the US government about the orchestrators of the genocide in Darfur. We need to declassify some of that information and turn it over to the International Criminal Court, or threaten to turn it over credibly so that this would give leverage to those that are trying to get the Sudanese government to relent and allow the UN force into, to give leverage to those that are trying to get a peace deal in Darfur as soon as possible. So we need to, what do? Join organizations. There are so many. The Save Darfur Coalition brings together 180 groups, that faith and non-faith-based groups that deal with this kind of stuff. Get involved in the Save Darfur Coalition, Genocide Intervention Network, the Sudan Divestment Task Force. We write about all these different groups in the book. If you're a student, STAN, get involved in STAN. Amnesty International, NAACP, all these groups are coming together to work on these issues. Second, the oldest one in the book, contacting your representative. How do our elected officials quantify citizen sentiment? It's still the same way. They've got to be contacted. You hit them with emails, you get some friends together and colleagues together and go in and visit your elected officials, send them the old letter, fax, whatever it is you want to do, but let them know what you want to do. You can call the White House, and this is important as everything else. They're counting the number of calls they get on these issues, and if they're flooded with calls over the next couple of weeks telling President Bush to impose Plan B now with teeth, and very likely that message will waft its way up to Karl Rove's office, and that's where he needs to be. We need to politicize the issue of genocide. If we leave it to the policy wonks, nothing's going to happen. And how are you going to do that? 202-456-1414. Just call the number, call it every day. There's no law against it. Call it every hour. If you call it every hour, Cheney might be after you. But otherwise, just get on the phone. 202-456-1414. You can write to your papers. Call your local media. Call the ABC, NBC, and CBS affiliates. Why? If you're feeling really riled up, call Fox. Tell them, why are you not covering the 21st century's first genocide? And just push it. Push the envelope. 15 minutes a week is really all this kind of stuff takes. Call your friends and family and tell them to do the same. And together, collectively, I have no doubt in my mind, having spent the last incalculable number of years, sadly, working on these issues, we've seen when the international community gets serious, and it's usually led by the United States or pushed very hard by the United States, then we can make a very quick and appreciable difference for the lives of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Because if we don't, and Don and I have seen it with our own eyes, and many of you in this room have been witnesses to what is happening in Darfur. If we do not, if we fail, if our backbones loosen and President Bush doesn't act, if we go, you know what, I really have other things to do today, hundreds of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of Darfurians will die in 2007 on our watch. Thank you very much for coming.